For many years, people have become hungry. Quite often, while looking for a quick bite to eat, they resort to the hamburger, a tasty American tradition. But one could wonder where it all began. With the hamburger being an all-beef product, where does the ham in hamburger actually derive from? Join me as we dive into factual history to solve one of life's greatest riddles of all time. Once upon a time, in the land of long ago, before the vegans began to spread their joyous whining, there was an unwritten law which stated eating meat was good. So the people ate it, and they ate in peace. Shortly before the days that Christopher Columbus began his voyage, there existed a village that the Germans called Hamburg, a place which still exists to this day. During those times, every village had a special meal that became a representation of who they were. The village of France had French fries. The village of Italy had spaghetti and meatballs, while the village of Hamburg had Hamburg steak, which consisted of chopped up beef served raw. In the earliest years of the village, they were holding elections to declare who would be the princess of Hamburg. As many historians confirm, pirates were well known for kidnapping princesses, and one group of pirates in particular caught wind of the princess elections, so they set sail to the German village of Hamburg. However, pirates were never known for being on time, for they had no clocks, and the sea made it difficult for them to use sundial. So when they arrived in Hamburg, they had arrived too early, and because the princess hadn't been declared yet, they had no way of knowing who to kidnap. So they hung out in the village for a few days and enjoyed themselves. There was one tavern in particular they spent the majority of their time in. It was a little place called the Pub Station. Frankie owned it, but it was run by the happiest Negro you ever did see. This was before racism, so there was no such thing as angry black people yet. Although many items were available on the menu, the pirates only wanted to eat one thing, and that thing was, of course, the Hamburg steak. They loved it. But the only thing that bothered them was they didn't like eating it raw, nor did they like getting their hands dirty with the raw meat. Cutlery was offered, but there existed a secret pirate code that stated, "No pirate shall ever use cutlery or napkins." It was a must for the pirates to eat with their bare hands. A few days had passed before the election took place, but once it had happened, the princess was declared and swiftly swooped away by the scallywagged sea gang. The princess who was elected had rather small breasts, so during her campaign she had stuffed dinner buns into her bra to make them more poppin', because she was sure the one with the biggest knockers would be the one who would become the princess. As the pirates sailed away on their ships, the sea had shifted, knocking one of the dinner buns out of her dress. It rolled across the deck and struck the foot of one of the smartest pirates on the ship. They called him the Science Pirate, because he invented things like magic and the telescope. He picked it up, and upon examination, he came up with one of history's most brilliant ideas. He took it to the captain and said, "Hey, if you cut this open, we could put the Hamburg steak in this and eat it without messing our hands." The captain replied, "This is true, but none of us like eating the raw meat." So the science pirate was all like, "Yeah, but what if we cook it first?" "Well, then we couldn't call it Hamburg steak anymore, could we? Because it would become too different and misleading." The science pirate understood this, but the science pirate was smart. So he went back to his cabin to think for a while. He thought so long that it tired him out and put him to sleep. That night he had a dream, and when he woke up, everything made sense to him. He scrambled out of bed and was barely dressed when he went banging on the captain's door. "Captain," he shouted, "I have it figured out." The captain came to the door in a hurry, for he understood the excitement in the science pirate's voice and became excited himself. "What is it?" he shouted. "We don't have to call it steak," he exclaimed. "We can just call it Hamburg." "By golly, that's brilliant," said the pirate captain. "How did you ever figure it out?" It's mathematical, you see. If we add something on one end, we have to take it from somewhere else for it to exist. So by adding in the physical bun, we have to take away the word steak. Everyone was quite ecstatic about the new invention, even the princess who had most recently been sad on account that she had been kidnapped. So the pirates celebrated and continued on with their journey. They would always shout and sing about how much they loved the Hamburg, but because the pirates loved to aggressively say "arr" all the time, they would be singing, "We love this hamburger." And when they finally reached land, which we now know as America, it had already been stolen and rebranded. The new inhabitants, we call Americans, heard the singing and thought they were saying hamburger. So they killed the pirates and stole it, because that's what they liked to do. They killed and stole things, whether it be land, Africans, or in this case, a delicious beef meal created by the long-forgotten pirates. Huh? You said I could have it. Well, on my break. Huh? Already? Shit. Should we start again? Well, are you gonna edit this so? Because I don't want to look like a fucking idiot. Okay, as long as you do that. Okay. Now? As time passed on, other things have been added to the burger to make it more appetizing. Mothers would often sneak vegetables in, such as lettuce, tomatoes, onions, and pickles to trick their children into getting their essential nutrients and vitamins, as the Flintstone tablets had yet to be invented. Sometimes people would cook it too long and it would become all dried up, so they would add sauces to provide moist and moisture, which they found to be quite delicious. Then, years later, when bacon came along, it brought the burger to a brand new level. How did bacon become, you ask? Well, my friend, perhaps that is a tale for another time. But until then, do me a favor and live happily ever after.